August 31st, 1997, 12:20 a.m., Ritz Hotel, Paris. Princess Diana picks up the phone, her last call before leaving the hotel. 8 minutes of conversation. Then she walks to the car with Dodi. 37 minutes later, she's dying in a tunnel. Who was on that phone? What did Diana say in those final 8 minutes? And why were the phone records deleted within hours? For 27 years, the palace has hidden the truth. Tonight, we reveal 7 clues they tried to bury. 7 pieces of evidence that prove Diana's death was no accident. The Ritz Hotel keeps detailed phone records. Every call, date, time, duration, number dialed. On August 30th, Diana checked into Suite 102. Between 8 p.m. and midnight, she made several calls. To her sons at Balmoral, to friends in London, all documented. Then, at 12:20 a.m., Diana made one final call. 8 minutes and 34 seconds. Her last phone call ever. The number was logged in the hotel system. But here's where it gets suspicious. Within 6 hours of Diana's death, those records disappeared. Not just the final call. All phone records from Suite 102 completely deleted. French police arrived at 9 a.m. requesting records. The hotel manager claimed system malfunction. All data from Diana's suite was gone. But phone systems don't just malfunction and delete specific rooms. Someone deliberately erased those records. Someone with access to the hotel's system. Someone who knew exactly which records to delete. Hotel staff reported seeing unidentified men in suits. At 4 a.m. before police arrived, accessing administrative offices. Who were these men? Who had authority to access hotel records in the middle of the night? The number Diana called has never been recovered. The 8-minute, 34-second duration is known only because a clerk remembered. Who was on the other end? What did Diana say that was so dangerous it had to be erased? This wasn't about privacy. This was about covering up evidence. Evidence of what Diana knew, or who Diana was afraid of. The crash happened at 12:23 a.m. The closest hospital was 4 kilometers away, a 6-minute drive. The ambulance arrived at the tunnel at 12:32 a.m. Diana was alive, injured, but conscious. They stabilized her for 46 minutes, standard procedure. But here's where nothing makes sense. The ambulance didn't arrive at the hospital until 2:06 a.m., 48 minutes to travel 4 kilometers. That's not slow medical transport. That's stopped. Dr. Patrick Goldstein reviewed the case. Taking 48 minutes to drive 4 kilometers is medical malpractice. The route was also suspicious. They took the longest possible path, added unnecessary distance, stopped twice for treatment. On public streets, not at hospitals. Why stop on the street instead of rushing to emergency rooms? Witnesses saw the ambulance stopped, parked, engine running but not moving. Taxi driver Jacques Morel was behind them. They were going so slowly I could have walked faster. From tunnel to hospital, 1 hour and 43 minutes total. Diana had lost massive amounts of blood. Dr. Bruno Rieu, who treated her, the internal bleeding could have been controlled if she had arrived sooner. Could have been controlled if she had arrived sooner, but she didn't. Someone made sure of that. Henri Paul was driving Diana's car. The official story, he was drunk. Blood alcohol level 1.75 grams per liter. 3 times the legal limit. Case closed. Except the blood test was fake. Henri Paul's blood showed 20.7% carbon monoxide saturation. That level causes severe symptoms. Headaches, nausea, inability to function. Yet security footage shows Henri Paul 2 hours before the crash. Walking normally. Talking clearly. Completely coherent. Dr. Peter Venezis reviewed the evidence. Someone with that level couldn't drive a car. But Henri Paul drove perfectly until the tunnel. The blood sample itself is suspicious. The samples were never properly labeled. Chain of custody was broken. Henri Paul's family demanded DNA verification. French authorities refused. Why? A private investigator discovered something damning. The blood sample reference number didn't match Henri Paul's autopsy. It matched a different body. A man who died of carbon monoxide poisoning in a house fire. The wrong blood was tested, creating the perfect scapegoat. Drunk driver causes crash. But Henri Paul wasn't drunk. 9 paparazzi followed Diana's car that night, all taking photographs constantly. A photo of Diana was worth thousands. A photo of Diana injured, millions. Hundreds of photographs were taken. Of the car leaving the Ritz, of the chase through Paris, of the tunnel entrance, of the crash scene. French police arrested all 9 photographers, confiscated cameras and film, but almost none of these photos have ever been seen. A few distant shots, nothing clear. Where are the rest? Jacques Langevin, one photographer. I shot 3 rolls of film, probably 80 photographs. Police took everything. I never got any back. All 9 tell the same story. Everything confiscated, nothing returned. Why? What did those photos show? Romuald Ratt mentioned in an interview, there was a bright flash in the tunnel right before the crash. A flash. Not from cameras. Something that blinded the driver. Ratt's photo of that flash? Never seen again. The missing photos aren't about privacy. They're evidence. Evidence of what really happened. Evidence someone made sure would never surface. Diana was conscious after the crash. Multiple witnesses heard her speak, but what she said has been changed in official reports. Dr. Frederick Maillet was first at the scene. He later said Diana was semi-conscious and moaning. Didn't speak coherently, but that's not his original statement. His leaked initial report said Diana spoke clearly. My God, what's happened? Leave me alone. Where's Dodi? Coherent sentences, clear questions. The official report changed this to incoherent and unresponsive. Why? Paramedic Xavier Gourmelon revealed in 2017, Diana regained full consciousness in the ambulance. She looked at him and said, I'm in so much pain. Where am I? I need to call my family. Diana was lucid, aware, speaking. This isn't in any official report? Why not? Because the official story requires Diana to be unconscious, too injured to survive. But if Diana was conscious and speaking, her injuries weren't immediately fatal. She could have lived, should have lived, with faster treatment. The changed testimony controls the narrative. If Diana was conscious, people ask questions. Why the delay getting to hospital? What happened during that hour and 43 minutes? But if Diana was unconscious from the crash, the delay doesn't matter. Diana was conscious, fighting to stay alive. Someone made sure her words were erased from history. The ambulance finally left the tunnel at 1:18 a.m., destination Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital, but there was a problem. Pitié-Salpêtrière wasn't the closest hospital. Val-de-Grâce Military Hospital was 1.5 kilometers away. Fully equipped for trauma, cardiac surgery, blood bank. Perfect for Diana's injuries, but the ambulance drove right past it. Instead, going to Pitié-Salpêtrière, 4 kilometers away. Why? Dr. Marc Gentilini at Val-de-Grâce. We could have saved her. We had everything ready. We never understood why they didn't bring her. The route itself was suspicious. 3 possible routes from tunnel to Pitié-Salpêtrière. Route A, direct, 6 minutes. Route B, via Champs-Élysées, 8 minutes. Route C, scenic route, 15 minutes. The ambulance took Route C through residential streets, past parks, the longest possible route. Traffic wasn't a factor at 1 a.m. The ambulance meandered through Paris, stopping twice, passing 2 other hospitals. Security expert John Morgan investigated. The ambulance passed 2 hospitals closer than the destination. This wasn't medical judgment. This was a planned route. Someone decided in advance where Diana would go, and how long it would take. Long enough to ensure maximum blood loss. Long enough to make her injuries fatal. Diana was pronounced dead at 4 a.m. Paris time, 3 a.m. London time. French officials began making calls to the British Embassy, to Buckingham Palace. By 6 a.m. London time, just 3 hours later, Buckingham Palace released a full official statement. 3 hours, in the middle of the night. Normal palace statements take days. Multiple drafts, legal review, careful wording. But for Diana's death, 3 hours. The statement included specific details about the crash, the tunnel, the circumstances, even preliminary information about Henri Paul's intoxication. How did the palace know these details so quickly? French investigators hadn't completed their assessment, yet palace officials had detailed information, almost as if they'd been briefed in advance, or were expecting this to happen. Former royal correspondent James Whittaker, that statement came out impossibly fast. Someone knew what to say before Diana even died. The statement mentioned nothing suspicious, no questions about delays, No concerns about the ambulance, just calm, measured language, expressing sadness, calling it tragic accident, moving on. For a palace that usually moves glacially, this was lightning speed, suggesting preparation, suggesting prior knowledge. The 3-hour statement wasn't efficiency, it was evidence of foreknowledge. Evidence someone in the palace knew Diana was going to die before she even got in the car. 7 clues that don't make sense, unless Diana's death was murder. The deleted phone records. What did Diana say? Who did she call? The 1-hour, 43-minute ambulance, a death sentence disguised as medical care. Henri Paul's fake blood test. The perfect scapegoat who wasn't drunk. The missing paparazzi photos. Evidence that would show the truth. Diana's changed last words. She was conscious, speaking, fighting. The wrong hospital route. Ensuring Diana lost too much blood to survive. And the palace statement in 3 hours. Proof they were ready, waiting. Each clue alone could be explained away. But 7 together, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern. Evidence destruction, medical delays, false information, coordinated cover-up. Diana died in that tunnel, but she didn't have to. Her injuries were survivable with immediate treatment. She would have lived. But someone made sure she didn't get immediate treatment. Someone ensured the wrong decisions were made. Diana's last phone call holds the key. Who she called, what she said, what she knew. That's why the records were deleted. That's why the truth has been hidden for 27 years. Diana knew something dangerous enough to kill her for, and someone made sure she would never tell. The 7 clues aren't mysteries, they're evidence. Evidence of murder dressed up as accident, protected by the most powerful institution in Britain. The question is whether we're brave enough to face it. Diana was murdered, and the palace knows exactly who did it.